regular board meeting for March 13th, 2023. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Jim, would you grab so don't bother. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. Okay, Danielle, would you take the roll call for us?
Palmer.
Here.
Patty Beck.
Here.
Teresa Bills.
Here.
Jim Christopher.
Here.
Gina Mozzarelli.
Okay. Everybody should have a copy of tonight's agenda. The one item I want to add under new business as item E, is to discuss the lawsuit against the KOA campground. We got some emails today from Will Hostler. The gist of it is in the first one. The other ones were just attachments of prior documents. And so we'll talk about that when we get to that item. Other than that, I'm good with the agenda unless anybody else has anything they want to add.
No.
If not, a motion in order to approve with the amendment would be in order.
A motion to approve the agenda with the amendment of E, the KOA lawsuit to discuss.
Okay, is there a second? By Gina. Okay, any other questions or comments from the board? None. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, on to the races. Should also have a copy of the minutes from the February 6th budget meeting workshop, which I'm pleased to say went exceptionally well, I thought, this year. And we have minutes from the February 13th Township Board meeting and Fire Board meeting. So let's take the February 6th one first. Are there any questions or comments on those?
Excellent job on minutes.
Yes.
Wow.
That was Janelle.
It was a long meeting.
It was.
And I thought she captured it
She
very
had
well.
everything
Yeah, she
categorized very nicely.
She covered it all in one.
There is one thing I'd like to know, and it's on page 3, I guess. So,
Of the
about the budget workshop minutes. About halfway down, it says township dues and subscriptions increased to $8,000. This will cover MTA fees and premium pass subscription, but we chose not to get the subscription. Isn't that correct?
Yes.
Oh, okay, so that should be, that's
So
good
we
catch.
We can just cross that out.
What page?
Page 3.
In the draft.
Where there's the circle bullet points.
Right.
I'll give you mine.
Okay.
It's about halfway down.
Like the 8th one down.
Okay.
Yeah, because we agreed that we
Yes,
weren't
we did.
going to do that again. And then I just had, I guess I wondered, what does it mean, engineer $300 to pay Orchard Hills?
Oh, Orchard Hills.
That's about maybe 6 more bullet points down.
Oh, that one. I didn't catch that one.
We don't pay Orchard.
I mean, if we can get Orchard Hills for $300, that's great. But I don't know what that.
That'd be like an hour.
Don't
Right.
think that's correct.
So is that
Amount.
supposed to be a
Without the
different
budget,
amount, or is that an hourly amount? Or
We have 30. Good catches.
thank you. I guess I could have looked at the budget too, though. Let's see.
Maybe should have got one. Engineer.
So that's on the budget, and we're looking at, is it planning consultants? No,
The engineering.
engineer.
I believe it's under.
Well, I guess we did change it from $255 to $300. We didn't need to
Well,
use that?
I'm only guessing then it's because most of the engineering fees get billed back to the site plans for the people that
That's
are.
true.
Okay, all
We
right.
don't use them for anything, and then maybe an adjustment for some rounding factor. We didn't want to put just a
Okay.
dollar amount in there in case it was something.
All right,
So that may actually be okay.
that makes sense. And then the other thing that I wanted to mention, the next page at the very bottom under playground, the real actual reason we're doing all this is because of safety. And safety is not a word in this description. So I'd like the word, at least, increasing safety
We could just do goal is to increase safety by taking
Well, you
out
could do-
excess
Yeah,
junk.
doing
Only
for
thing
safety.
You
we
could
do
do that on the
is-
very first line, which is desire to have handicap swing at it and make the playground brighter, safer, and
Correct. I would
Okay.
like to have that added into that because that is the overall goal.
Okay.
It's really about safety.
okay, good job.
And then the next page, under the second one, it says rekeying the doors, grant for up to 15,000. Is it really up to 15 or was it 5?
I think Stacy knows the answer to that.
What's that?
The grant for the card scanners for the doors, entry doors.
I
Were
think
they-
they're 5,000.
I think they're $5,000 grants for rekeying the doors.
Yeah, I think they were gonna do something with, you guys were gonna use it
With
for.
the insurance company,
For the
Yeah, for the
farmland.
insurance company.
yeah, those are
And then-
$5,000.
They're about five.
Yeah, they are
That
5,000.
one
I didn't
should
know
be-
we were talking about a different grant, but I think if this is the parkland one, they give out 2 per year. And Chief and I talked about that,
There was another one in that whole list that Janelle gave us of, that we were, thinking about as well. And I think that's where the 15 came in.
okay, well, I guess, since it says for up to 15, I suppose we can leave it. I just was confused on that. So, and then one last one on the very last page. Under trustees, roll call, back, motion to approve,
Yeah,
and back supported.
I get that one too. It was,
I don't know,
I fixed it and where is,
Oh, I see.
it was back, I think in bills, it was you and I.
okay,
But-
so we just need to fix, whichever one of those.
Yes, I'm trying to find, if I can
So it's
find
at the very end of the, minutes,
find-
For,
right above adjournment. So where it says trustees, back motion to approve updated trustee salary, and then it says back supported, but it should say
Bills.
bills supported. She can't support herself.
Where's our budget?
I thought I put all that in there. Oh, the second
Oh,
copy?
here it is, no, the resolutions. Is that the last one, Teresa?
Yes, trustees.
Yeah, it was, bills
Mhm.
offered, the rest,
Oh, I
you
made
did.
the motion and you
Yes,
supported.
and I support.
Oh,
Okay, so that's how we need to fix that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I had that on my sheet.
Other than that, those were the only things, and I too thought that was an amazing job capturing our entire conversation.
okay, with that, does somebody want to make the motion to approve it with the
I'll
amendments?
make a motion to approve the special board meeting for the budget on February 6th of 2023 with the corrections as noted.
Is there a second? I'll second it. Jim, any questions or comments from the board? Any from the audience? Danielle, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I.
Just let you know. All opposed, okay, they're approved. Next is the township meeting for February 13th. Should have that one. Any questions or comments on those?
The only thing I noticed was under, on page 4, the BGYA, where it says the new AD from the high school is Jesse Johnson, and then blank will be speakers, so the blank should be football coach Brad Zube, Z-U-B-E. His name was left off there, but, yeah, it's just a detail there that was omitted.
Brad, Suzie, is it?
Yep, Z-U-B-E.
Any others? You want to make a motion for that?
I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes of the February 13th, 2023 board meeting with the correction as noted.
Is there a
I'll
second?
support that.
Gina, questions or comments from the board? All in favor, say aye. All opposed, okay, all those. And that just leaves the, fire board. We should have those as well.
That was good.
Okay,
All right, I will make a motion that we approve the regular meeting fire board minutes from February 13th, 2023.
is there a second? I'll second it. Any questions or comments from the board? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay, we're done with the minutes, folks. Very good. We'll move on to financials, budget amendments. Okay.
It doesn't look like we have any. I thought we were going to. I think we're gonna probably have a few for next, board meeting. This ran the budget. Revenue and expense ran through the 28th of February.
Okay.
We're still looking pretty good. Next year, we're coming up on the end of the budget, so there's bound to be a few.
28 or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
If there's no amendments, we want to move right to accounts payable.
The accounts payable for the general were $25,239.29. And the 701 account was $2,158.25. And that was a total of $27,397.54. And for fire 206 account was $33,397.69. So my motion is that we accept the accounts payable as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
By Gina, any questions or comments from the board? Danielle, would you take a roll call?
Patty Back,
Yes.
Teresa Bills,
Yes.
Jim Christopher,
Yes.
Gina Musarelli,
Yes.
Bob DePalma.
Yes. Financial reports for general fire and building.
I don't know, did everybody, hopefully, did anybody have any questions on them?
Well, page 1 was missing here, but I'm just assuming that all I know to that. It's on the 101.
That's really odd.
Yeah,
What?
I don't
Do you
know.
want page 1? Do you want me to run you another?
No, I saw them.
I think we're okay.
You don't need this one?
That's not what I'm on.
Oh, you're looking at the invoices. That's the invoice. We're looking at the revenue.
Oh, we passed this on.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, all right, that's
I
fine.
still got it every year.
Answer when you're Mr.
Okay. So
Yeah.
these ones, no,
Yeah.
these are fine.
So the revenue and expense. So I'll motion that we accept the revenue and expense report as presented.
Are you doing it just for general or general fire and building funds?
For general fire and building,
Is there a second to that?
I'll second it.
Any questions or comments from the board?
No.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, okay. Moving on, investment reports, Teresa.
So, in February, just wanted to note that, because we moved the money over a lot to Michigan Class and they were paying 5% up until today, right? Anyway, the township earned, over $21,000 in interest in February, which was a short month, so that's
Great.
impressive. I also want to note that in that line item for 464, which are the ARPA funds, and it says right here, $403,482.80. $15,721 was moved out of that and into the fire account to cover the cot that we approved from ARPA funds.
the striker.
And so it was paid out as a fire check, which shows up on the fire list, but it was reimbursed in March from the ARPA funds for that $15,721. So, other than that, it's pretty self-explanatory.
The numbers look great.
What was the number that was made?
For
Township made what, how much?
approximately $21,000. That's township and fire, that's everything, but, yeah. Okay?
I also saw that they had nothing to do with any of the things.
No.
Did you see that?
Oh, yes. Right. No, our money is very secure.
Yeah. Been an interesting week financially, right?
Use anything else.
Just went
Okay.
along.
All right, are there any questions on the investment report? Okay, now,
Good job.
okay, nothing under presentations, we move to public hearings, and we're gonna open at 7:16 by my watch, public hearing for the budget for 23 and 24. You should have the general appropriations documents in front of you. Let me see if I can kind of capture.
I told you not to put sheets between. You'd be upset with me.
Yeah, I still have them. Did you go to the phone?
Okay, I'll try and capture it. Patty's keeping me honest here if I miss something here, but, the township's in excellent financial condition. The millage rate for the township charges will stay exactly the same as it's been for the last several years. It's 3.5 mils per fire and 0.9557 mils for the township. So we didn't raise it or lower it this year. We've also done a comparison of the municipalities around us for the raises, and Brandon and most of the townships around us were doing 5% raises this year. That's what we did for all of the various officers and the full-time staff. The annual year budgets for some of the townships are different. So Holly, I think, did 8.7 last year, and they won't do their new budget until this June. And they've adopted a policy to follow whatever the government is. So whatever that shows up this summer, that's probably what I think we're right in the ballpark with 5%. That's what everybody else is doing. And most of them, even in the discussions at the supervisor's lunch, some of the fire departments had a different number because they had also done something else to some of the factories before. One or two of them, I think, had 8, but most of them were, frankly, in the 3 to 5% range. So that's in here. Let's see what else do we have over here. The balances that we just covered on the financial statement for the month are quite good, as you can see. You have the money to pay for the new fire station that will be covered. We've also approved in the budget some other dollars to be spent on the development and the marketing aspect of doing the township's property going forward, because we would like to get not only our new fire station / MSP detachment building built, which should break ground here soon in the spring. We also want to try and take a look at getting the complete structure of how the whole project will be set up, hopefully as a similar to a site condo development, so that we can adjust lot sizes and that more easily going forward. And we're also going to be putting together some marketing material on it, and I'm trying to do that in conjunction with Oakland County Parks, because they're doing something to promote the ORV park, and basically the customers they're going after are the ones that rent the park. And that's really the ones we're hoping are in large part going to be in our park, so we see no reason why we can't try and tie what we want to develop in a marketing pitch to what they're doing. And there's an upcoming meeting with the economic people for that project, and I've been invited to that, so we'll kind of keep you abreast of that as we go.
Wasn't a large part of that money allocated actually last year, and we're just carrying it
Right,
forward.
right, because we didn't end up using it last year. Like all of the things, these things end up taking a lot longer. I also have the contract from the MSP with Jerry Bass for his review as the contractor, and I talked to our state senator today about some issues I think we're going to have with it. I'll get those resolved. I'll get it all ready for your final review. I'll bring it back to you. Other than that, I don't know. Do you
Talk
think
about
it
the tri-party funds and how we get to spend that.
Oh, okay, the tri-party funds, yeah, we've paid for Barron Road now, so we're gonna finally have some tri-party funds. And for those of you who don't know what that is, that's an agreement between Oakland County, the Road Commission for Oakland County, and the municipalities, where we each pay a third of it. And we've used that money for the last couple of years to pay for our part of the paving on the Barron Road project, which, if you're not familiar with it, was basically 90% paid by the federal government and the Road Commission. So we used some of that to pay our 10%. This year, going forward, we'll have some dollars available, and I did contact the Road Commission and asked if we could use our dollar allotment to cover the cost of spreading gravel, because we have a special deal with Levy Company where we're getting 3 miles of road gravel for about 8 years. And we didn't get it down last year because the road commission got swamped with some work and couldn't put our 3 miles down. So this year we're going to try and do 6 miles. We get caught up on that, and we can use those tri-party dollars to pay for the spreading costs that we have to pay. They were fine with that, so we're actually going to get our roads 6 miles gravel for. Let's see, it's going to be roughly about, I think it was $40,000 for our department, which is half of what we okay. So that's probably the biggest benefit. We should have the roads in pretty good shape this year. The other thing we're going to have to talk about when we get to it is the chloriding. Did we put that in here?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, when we get to that, I'll talk about this. There's a change coming down the road on chloriding for the roads going forward. I think that's pretty much. Teresa's done a great job on moving our money around and getting some more interest on it, so it's up way big time this year.
We'll see how long it lasts.
Yeah, we'll see how long it lasts. If you watch the market today, there's 2 banks that failed now, right, Dave?
Yeah.
2 banks that have failed so far on the weekend, right?
But we've gotten emails from others that say, we're good, we're good.
Yeah, and actually, you know, one of the things I found encouraging is this morning I heard several of them saying the bigger banks that are around, because they're not part of the venture capital funding that was going on in California. People are calling up trying to move money to places like Chase and other big banks, so they feel more secure about it. So I think we're certainly going to make more money this year on interest than we made in the long run. And we'll see how it goes by the end of the year with what happens. I think we put money in for several projects like improving the playground outside in the backyard. And it's a good thing that I checked on that today because the gal at DTE completely forgot to follow up and call me back.
Oh.
So she said she had a meeting at 10:30 today and she would bring it up with the people that have to give us the final price back. So I should have that maybe tomorrow or the next day so we can get moving on that. I think
The speed signs?
the speed signs have been ordered. They're not here yet because they take a while to get built. I don't think they're going to get here until April. So when they get here, we'll put those up on Grange Hall Road and Trip Road and see what kind of impact that has for us going forward. I'm just trying to think. The rest of the stuff, a lot of this is kind of the nuts and bolts of what we do every year for the place. So I don't think there were any other issues that were real significant in this meeting unless anybody else thinks there's something that we should cover.
I was gonna see, Jim, you had talked about rekeying the doors using the key cards. Can you get a couple bids on that?
Sure.
Do you think? Would you know?
Yeah, and I'll tell you, one of them will be, the 2 sides of the company. One is called Solution, the other is Sonatrol. And I've done business with them in the past. And I know at least 6 security people. I don't know if you remember, I called Dave. He knows some people up in Flint that he turned me on to in security. So
Yes, you could give us a few, 3, 4.
Sonatrol's the one that we use when we put the
Yes.
cameras outside.
Yes.
Okay.
I will give them a call.
Teresa, we discussed talking about putting the fire department on with our, we didn't get any prices yet, did we?
So Chief had requested some email addresses and I
Yes,
did look
you
into
did,
that.
right, I remember.
And email addresses are $6 each per month.
Okay.
So for each email address is $72 a year, and that's easy to add. And that's what we pay as well for each of the email addresses that the township uses.
And then to put the other thing was to put the burn permits on our site, which
Yeah, so
we might be able to just pop it.
I don't see why we, I think the idea was that Janelle and Vinny were going to sit
Work
down
together.
and
Yeah,
work
right.
together on
Okay.
doing some of these upgrades.
They sent an email out asking if there was
Yes.
anything we would like to see.
I know, and in fairness to Vinny, I told him I needed him to pull up all of his planning commission meetings with the minutes for the red book. He's working on that, so I don't know if that's slowing him down in this because
It probably is.
I have to have that
I
in
know,
case we.
he's prioritized that for you. But I do know that that is something that Janelle and Vinny are planning on getting to. And then whatever they can't, work out, that's what we allotted a certain dollar amount for, to have the Shoemaker Technology Group, do that for us.
Okay,
If needed,
And we,
if needed.
the only other things, we moved our HRA to supplier in
Yeah.
January because the other one was atrocious.
I saw.
Okay. They were still tied to the state guideline dollar amounts where we adjust every year. So I think that's most of what we have in here. We gave the part-time firefighters $1 an hour raise, and the full-time all got 5% like every township office.
So I do have one thing, and I know that we talked about this, but I still believe that the starting pay for a new office administrator coming in, if heaven forbid we lose Danielle or, Angela or something and we have to replace one, we did not give that position a 5% raise like everybody else got. They are still at 24,000, and I believe a 5% raise would put them at, $1,200 more. And I get that they do get some benefit, they do get the benefit, but I do think that for us to say we've given everybody a 5% raise without putting that into that new position is an oversight. I would like to at least make that something that I feel strongly about. That's the only one we left out.
Okay.
We chose to leave it at 24,000, but I feel strongly that it should be moved to 25,200. That's a 5% raise.
With the continual 4-step pace of 500 at 6 months.
Yes, because it's been $24,000 since 2015 or earlier.
So then the only time that pay has been affected since that point is when we've done a 5% raise or a 3% raise with someone who's in that position.
Correct.
Yes. Okay, so you're talking about the starting position.
Correct.
Right. And again, my only problem with that is, I would rather see increment raises, even those increased, as opposed to starting someone and finding out that they don't work.
And that is an option too. So perhaps maybe saying in the first year that someone's here, they get, a raise at 3 months and again at 6 months or something to that effect, because they're never going to catch up. They're never going to catch up. And things are way more expensive now than they were in 2015.
But I see where it makes sense to include that as a 5% now. But I still would like to be a little bit more in control of them earning their place.
Yes, and so I'm not saying we have to make a change right this second, but I am saying I think that moving forward, we might want to reconsider that at, sometime in the future if it becomes an issue with hiring someone, because that could be. And I think we should at least keep an open mind about perhaps reconsidering this in the future, if that's agreeable with you.
I'm just asking, rather than a motion right now to change it, you just want to make it aware that you feel we should do it in the event of time. So.
Correct.
That's what I asked.
Yes, correct. I mean, I bring it up not because I expect you guys to go, oh yeah, you're right, let's just make that motion now. Because I know a lot of discussion went into all this, but it just struck me that we did say we gave everybody a 5% increase, but we didn't change that. So I just wanted that to be something that we would consider in the future.
At 1,200 added, the 5%, it would be 25,000.
Correct.
So if we were to keep it at 24,000 right now, maybe in 3 months, I'm just kind of thinking give them a $300 raise if it's working out, they're going to stay. And then I think we give 400 or 500 now. That would give them another, $500 raises. However you wanted to decide to do it. just something to think about. Are you following where I'm coming?
Yeah, I do. So if we're not, confident going with changing that to 25,200 right this minute, and I'm okay with that.
That's just what I'm saying.
I'm
It's
just
not
saying-
doing what Gene was saying.
In the future, let's at least be open for discussion and the idea of perhaps changing it if necessary to attract good talent if necessary.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay, so food for
Are
thought.
there any other questions or comments on the general appropriations?
No, I think it was very well done.
Yeah. I would say, I think it would be nice for everybody to know, as a result of that HRA change from basic to ISOL, we are able to close out some long-term accounts and have the people take their money so that we are not maintaining that, or we're not paying for them to keep their money.
Well, we indicated we're changing it going forward.
So
We're
it
gonna have
is
to take it out and have it back.
correct, and so, and that will be a savings to us as well. as a
Okay.
township.
So, are there any other comments, Jim? Did you want to make any? If not, are there any questions or comments from the audience? If not, I guess we'll close the appropriations meeting at, I show 7:32. All right. Okay.
All right. So, somebody want to make a motion
To
approve
appropriation.
appropriations and the budget for
Okay.
the upcoming 23, or, 23-24.
I'll make a motion. That we accept the General Appropriations Act 2023-2024 adopted on March 13th of 2023.
I'll support.
Okay, any questions or comments from the board? If not, Danielle, would you take a roll call on it?
Teresa Bills,
Yes.
Jim Christopher,
Yes.
Gina Musarelli,
Yes.
Bob DePalma,
Yes.
Patty Back.
Yes.
Okay.
And
Nothing.
then does somebody want to adopt the actual budget? The appropriation that says what we're going to do with it. The budget says what the numbers are we're dealing with.
So I will make a motion that we accept the projected budget for 2023, 2024 as submitted.
And I'll second that.
Questions or comments from the board? Danielle, would you take a roll call?
Jim Christopher,
Yes.
Gina Musarelli,
Yes.
Bob DePalma,
Yes.
Patty Back,
Yes.
Teresa Bills.
Yes.
No.
No, we
No.
did, no,
We
we
did.
already approved it at the
We
meeting.
did.
I put them in there just so everything was clean and it's all there
They're all
for anybody who
5%.
wants to know.
That's what I was going to say. Okay.
I tried to add the whole thing.
So all the rest of the stuff is the same, just additional info?
Yes.
Yeah.
I put the ad in there. Yeah, I kind of did a little overkill. Sorry.
Oh, you put the whole budget workshop in there.
Yes, I did.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Hang on, just a second.
We have the affidavit. I really update myself.
You got a pink sheet.
Well, look at the pink sheet. I told you not to put them in there so you could make me later.
Further down.
Also in that packet, and these are available if you come in.
Yeah, this is all this.
They'll be on the counter for anybody who's not at the meeting. The girls will make you another one. It's got the contribution for the benefits. All that good stuff. Okay.
Okay, we'll move on to new business. The first item under new business A is to discuss the road commission's dust control program. You know, we do this every year, and this year I gave you a copy of what the road commission sent us. It's the same rates as previously, but if you notice, they also included a letter which indicates that it says important notice at the top, potential changes to the dust control program. And on February 13th of this year, Eagle, which is the new name for the DNR, shared a revised draft to the State of Michigan Department of Environment, Great Lakes, and Energy Groundwater Discharge permits to revise changes that could affect the dust control program as follows. They want to limit it to 4. We've usually done 5 every year. But, you know, we have an option of 4 or 5. They want it to be 4. And they also want to reduce the amount of chloride that's distributed through the machines. You know, there's a little computer in the truck that controls how much chloride gets distributed per mile. And they don't want it applied on gravel roads within 100 feet of surface water. I'm just suggesting that we need to decide if we want to do 4 or 5 this year again. And I don't know what the other townships adjacent to us are doing. We've always pretty much done 5 where the boundary roads are split, that they pay for half of it and we pay for half. You know, the road commission coordinates it all together. But I wanted you to see this notice. It's not a lot can change. I don't know what we're going to do this year, but some people complain when you get 5 doses of chloride that it's too much. If they implement this, I'm betting we're going to have a lot of dusty roads and a bunch of people complain. I'm just being
I want to
honest.
know how they got from, we can't do brine and chloride, which is a brine, but we can put Roundup in water, which follows the water table right to our wells. Sorry, I mean, that's,
Who knows? Maybe they'll have another letter coming out of that one. But I'm just saying,
well, somebody's
we need to be aware of it. So I don't know what the other townships are doing, but if this change goes through, I'm just suggesting to you that I think if you reduce the amount of chloride you put on and change it to 4 applications and don't get anywhere near a stream or a creek that runs in the township, that we're going to get a whole bunch of complaints on dust that year.
Well, this is a draft, right?
Yeah, it's
So
not
they
done.
haven't decided
No.
yet when.
But
when
they
it
wanted
is.
us to see it because I think if this comes through, then we're not going to, it might be irrelevant what we decide.
Right. I think we have to decide by April 24th. It says, all orders must be received on or before Monday, April 24th, 2023.
Well,
So we're gonna have to let them know by then,
so
we could,
do we want to just
But
approve?
no, I think we have to decide by the time. I think it says,
okay, well,
they
What do you
want
have
a
for-
letter confirming the amount of township participation by April 10th.
And
And then something else by the 24th.
yeah, this,
The letter we normally do just says, yeah, we're doing all the roads, we're doing 5 applications coordinated with the adjacent townships, so everyone.
right.
and we did
I
discuss
don't
this.
know what they're doing yet, because they cover out, I'm sure, same other people. Do we want to approve 5 subject to the decisions of the adjacent communities, and if they opt for 4, we'll change it to 4, and then I can call them and find out what they're doing.
No, they'll change it for us.
Well, yeah, well,
I agree with that.
so,
Cause they get pretty dusty and we're gonna be getting,
I mean, even some of the roads like Wild, they don't chloride that enough, you get people to complain about it, because it's got stretches where there's no tree cover and it dries out right away. And I'm not disputing that this might be beneficial for the environment, I'm just telling you, we're gonna get a lot of complaints when the roads are dusty. That happens. So,
Yeah, they have 2 different due dates on here. On the letter, it says the 10th,
Yeah,
and then
it
on
says
the form, it says the 24th.
well, we'll send a letter by the 10th.
I'll call the other townships tomorrow and find out that.
Okay.
I'll make it consistent with what they're doing. Okay. Okay, so can we have a motion to approve up to 5 applications or in compliance with what the adjacent townships do, because we always do it with Brandon, Springfield, and Holland.
A motion that we go with up to 5 applications of chloride on the roads for the upcoming 23.
I'll second it.
That's including
I guess
if
it would
they,
be just for the 20.
if they're doing it differently, to coordinate it with whatever the 3 communities adjacent to us are, that we share. Okay. Okay, you seconded it, Jim?
Yes.
Okay, any questions or comments from the board? Anything else? Can we have I'm sorry,
No, not really. I was just gonna say that they have a really good informational piece in here about, you know, facts about mineral well brine and so on. And I think that we should probably pull the highlights of this out and post it and put it on the website, put it on the Facebook page and everything, because it states in here that Periods of minimal rainfall and low humidity would result in less moisture attracted to the surface of the gravel road on which the mineral brine has been applied. As a result, the effectiveness will be less during these periods than during periods of high humidity and more rain. So it's counterintuitive because the residents get, and myself included, like, oh, they just threw all the brine down and it just rained, it's all soupy mess. But evidently, that's what makes it work better.
Yeah, I've been telling people that for years. It's only when you get a torrential downpour that it screws up the chloride application, in the opinion of the road commission.
Yeah. So anyway, we might want to post this information just as a FYI for people, because it's not our opinion, it's the road commission's information.
Okay.
But that's just a thought.
Okay, motion was made, I think, by, okay, and second by Jim.
Excuse me.
Daniel, you should take a roll call.
Gina Mazzarelli,
Yeah.
Bob Sapama,
Yes.
Patty Back,
Yes.
Teresa Bills,
Yes.
Jim Christopher.
Yes.
Discuss the parking lot repaving. Jim, did you want to give us a rundown? You did the research on this one?
Yeah, I asked 3 contractors. Assuming the 3 would be the minimum required, so to speak. Only 2 of them participated. The third one said they were booked for the entire season. I have worked at arm's length with both of these companies to find either of them to be qualified. I think the pricing was quite similar, and I believe, and it's been a month and a half for me, I believe Allied Paving may have been our low bidder. And I looked at
By about 3,000.
yeah, and on a
Well, but there's a discrepancy in square footage between the 2.
Yeah. I did figure out a square footage price because Villanova has 24,000 square feet, but Allied is just under 22,000. So, I mean, the price per square foot was pretty comparable. Allied's was $2.60 and Villanova's was $2.50. So I don't think it's a huge difference, but there is a big difference in the square footage that they quote.
About 2,000 square feet.
Yeah, 2,000 square feet.
That's approximately how many?
Well, they're saying 24,000 square foot, and they're saying 21,809. So, and they both have the same photos.
Right.
So I'm not sure how to make a decision on
In my
that.
business, a 2,000 square foot difference of 10% is nothing.
Okay,
I know you're not familiar with it, but it is.
okay.
It depends how they kind of measured the
Yeah.
shape of the
Well,
parking lot.
they both show 27 tons.
I would be comfortable with either of these companies doing it. I would say Allied is very close in terms of proximity to our building here. And I'm not dissuading what Teresa said, but this isn't a business where unit costs per se on something this small mean much.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think it's pretty darn comparable.
Oh, yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, there are some things like Villanova doesn't include scrubbers, and Allied has it in their scope of work. Curbs was another one that I flagged. And then neither one of them clearly shows is you know how Bob, you wanted the apron to our entrance
Well,
and exit.
only because here,
Oh, I
over
get
there,
it, but this
everybody
does
cuts
not show
across
that
the edge
they're
of the
doing
parking lot in Rutland. It's like it's a tire or a tire and a half too narrow where you come in and go out.
So I don't see where that's reflected in either of their diagrams, so I don't know if that was conveyed.
It was not conveyed by me. I would say in the typical course, which I'm not recommending, the typical course would have a set of drawings as an objective standard to pay easily $6,000 to $7,000 for those drawings, when I would consider this a show and tell job to be made it worthwhile to not ask the township to incur that cost. But I will promise you, I didn't know that.
Right.
So I could do one of a couple things, or we can have both contractors come out, wait one more month, this is fine. I mean, I believe
We're gonna need to.
have one last meeting. It would be great if, and I'll make sure I'm here this time. And discuss it one more time. and then ask them to revise their bids and we can make a decision.
I think that'd be great, because I really would hate to get it repaid and have the same problem every year.
Yeah, and I don't want us to get involved in what I would call additive change, if one person had it. I think the big point out of this, these are the same bids as far as I'm concerned, so that's great. The disparity is not, shouldn't hurt the board. So I'll make that arrangement according to everyone else on the board.
Great.
Thank you,
That
Jan.
sounds good.
Thanks, Scott.
Yeah.
Great.
Well, this is the way I can contribute because I've been doing this all my life, so.
All right, moving on, discuss mining. That is the planning commission had all the mining applications come in at the last PC meeting. So today's agenda would be to essentially approve the mining permits for the 3 levee pits and their bond amounts at the amounts that the planning commission and the township engineer put forward for the reclamation of the remaining property.
That's on page 3.
Right.
So the planning commission already approved it.
Yes.
They make a recommendation to us to approve the permit and the bond at the dollar amount they said.
Okay. And do they need to be, they do need to be individual?
Yes, even though they're all for levy, I think we should do each one.
Well, the bond amounts are different for each one.
Yes,
Okay.
I think you've got them there. It's American Ag, that's the levy pit, it's the old Kurtz pit. Groveland Sand and Gravel and Holly Sand and Gravel are the 2 down at the south end, on the east and west sides of Dixie along Temple Road. And along Oak Hill. So we need a motion. The first one would be American Ag, which is the old Kurtz gravel pit.
All right, I will make a motion that we accept the recommendation by the planning commission for American Ag mining permits and the reclamation plans with a bond of $615,500.
I'll support.
Is there any questions or comments from the board? If not, Danielle, would you take the roll call vote? Even though it's not our money, it's relevant to the township.
Bob DiPalma,
Yes.
Patty Back,
Yes.
Teresa Bills,
Yes.
Jim Christopher,
Yes.
Gina Musarelli.
Next one would be Groveland Sand and Gravel. Which should be the one that's on Dixie, kind of behind Whiskey River. Down Oak Hill Road. The entrance is actually off of Dixie. So we want to make a motion for that. That's the form.
Go for it, yeah.
You're on here.
Right, I will make a motion that we accept the recommendation for Groveland Sand and Gravel for 2023-24 mining permits with the reclamation plans and a bond of $470,000.
It's actually 22, 23.
Okay, yes.
Should
Why?
it be
Yeah,
223?
Just
Should it be
No.
23,
delayed from
24?
when they
Well,
came in.
The reason why we make it 2 years, kind of, is because the overlays or the flybys just take forever. And you can't
Okay,
always
so
get
it
on
is.
weather and
so it is 22, 23.
22, it'll be part of this 23, and then hopefully they'll have some by the fall.
Okay.
We'll see though, we'll see.
Okay.
But it still covers them for the next,
Yeah,
This
the operating
calendar
plan
year.
was,
yes.
And you did it for the 4 cent.
Yes.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Teresa, okay. Any questions or comments from the board? Danielle?
Patty Eck,
Yes.
Teresa Bills.
Yes.
Jim Christopher,
Yes.
Gina Musarelli,
Yes.
Bob DiPalma.
Yes. Okay, the last one, Holly Sand Gravel was the one on Tyndall.
So
Part of the pits in our township, and there's an equally large part across the street in the spring.
I will make a motion that we accept the planning commission's recommendation to have Holly Sand and Gravel for 2022, 2023 mining permits and the reclamation plans, and their bond is $1 million.
Second to that?
I'll support.
Okay, Patty, okay. Any other questions or comments from the board? Danielle, roll call.
Teresa Bills,
Yes.
Jim Christopher,
Yes.
Gene Mazzarelli, Bob DePalma,
Yes.
Patty Beck.
Yes.
Okay. Conclusion, folks. Discuss the MTA conference.
This one, I'll tell you, because Janelle, she was in the TG, the Township Governance Academy, the TGA, and she finished hers. She needed one in-person class. They're offering it on that Monday, and they did offer it to her at no charge. So we did not sign her up when Teresa went because she didn't think she was going to be able to go. But it's turned out she is. So I'd like to make a motion that we approve sending Janelle to the MTA conference and in the amount of $390 to be paid from the clerk education and mileage and food and whatever else she may need.
She and I would be sharing a hotel
And
room.
Teresa and she are going to share a hotel room.
And
Teresa
I
already had the room.
We may even drive up together.
Yes.
So that will save mileage and
Yes.
hotel.
So I'd like to see her go and she'll get her certificate as well as Teresa. And she'll have that all completed. She is this week at the Clerks Institute. Can't wait to have her come back. Anyway, she's been in touch, trust me. I'm like, you're fine. So that was my motion.
I'll support that motion.
Thank you.
Are there any questions or comments from the board? If not, Danielle, if you take a roll call.
Bob DePalma,
Yes.
Patty Beck,
Yes.
Teresa Bills,
Yes.
Jim Christopher,
Yes.
Gene Mazzarelli.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Last item under new business is the one we had today, which is the KOA suit. And I apologize, but I got these messages this morning when I came in. There were actually 3 other messages, but they were just the attachments of other documents, like previous letters of will, and written pictures of the overall photograph of the mess at the KOA campground. If you read this complaint, the long and the short of it is, one day, about a year ago, I think Janelle came into the office and said, hey, what's going on behind Georgia Carpet? And there was a huge mound of dirt there, and so I don't know. We went over there, it turns out the guy dug a pond there, right pretty much on the property line between the KOA campground and Georgia Carpet's property. When we went and talked to them about it, said, what are you doing? They said, oh, this has all been approved. And I said, well, I'm the township supervisor and I didn't approve it. And they said, oh, somebody in the office did. It was Patty Beck. I said, Patty Beck's a clerk. She doesn't do building.
I've been looking at my name here.
I said, so it would have only been 2 people. It's either Danielle, our building administrator, or me. And on something like this, it wouldn't be that common. Typically, Danielle would come to me and ask about it. So I said, you didn't get it approved. And the county approved the excavator's permit with the stipulation that it had to get local approval from the township. Okay, and if you read the whole complaint, you see that Michelle Kennedy from Georgia Carpets had talked to the guy when they showed up and started digging the hole, and the story she got from him was completely different than what we got from the campground. We went to the campground, and Will has been talking to them in addition to me. We thought we had an agreement, so we canceled the court hearing on the grounds that they were going to take care of the problem. And then they did absolutely nothing. So now it's been sitting there all winter. It's a real eyesore. It's not where it's supposed to be. And we've been told 3 or 4 different reasons for the pond being there. It's just a mess. So Will is in the position now to take this complaint with the attachments. And I read this over. I agree with the way it's worded here. And file a court case tomorrow. I told them I'd let them know the outcome of our meeting tonight. So I'll make the recommendation that we vote to approve entering into the court case to sue the KOA campground to clean up the mess that they made on their property directly behind Georgia Carpet. If you've driven down Great Hill Road, you have to have seen the mess that's over there.
So did they expand an existing firm?
They try, their story's been, well, we're just putting the pond back that used to be there. Well, when the guy that owns the KOA campground bought it, there was no lake. If you've been here long enough, Leon, that owned the campground before this guy, had put a lake in there, fenced it in, and tried stocking it with trout fish, saying campers could come and pay to fish in the trout pond. After he had it open, I think the first summer, he started gutting fish in the tackle house that he had there and serving breakfast. So the Board of Health found out
Oh my.
and came out and said, you can't be gutting fish here and serving breakfast. So he said, all right, I'll just close it all up. He took the fence down, he filled the lake in, he sold the front piece of property, which now has Georgia carpet on it. And he sold Jerry the little tackle house that he had, which when Jerry used to live in Holly, he lives in Groveland now. He had a little tackle house on the island in the middle of the pond in front of his house. Okay, it was just a decorative thing, you know. So this guy comes in and now he tries saying, I'm just putting the pond in that was there. Well, if you look at the aerial photos that are in the attachments, the pond's not where the other pond was. Okay, and even if it was, you didn't get an approval to put it back in so an engineer could look at the water runoff and stuff. And Jerry and the people at Georgia Carpet feel, one, it's extremely unsightly, it is, and two, being built right on the property line, it could have some negative impact on the discharge of water. This guy kind of has the opinion that, well, whatever was done to Banana Brothers building and Georgia Carpet is creating my problem, and it's their fault. There used to be a pond here. Well, there wasn't a pond when he bought the campground. The guy that owned the campground before and Jerry were actually quite good friends, okay? And I can't help it that both the Banana Brothers building and Georgia Carpet's building are significantly higher than the campground because the topology rolls from Range Hall Road down pretty quickly into the campground. So he gets a lot of water runoff where the swamp abuts his property. It eventually goes over by the I-75 stop. I just don't believe they have any justification at all, and they're clearly not going to do anything to enforce it. So I think we have an obligation to fix this, and this is the only way I think we're going to get it done. And we tried to be nice once. Will had me go out there and said, well, if he puts the pond back in exactly where it was when Leon had it before he sold it to him, okay, would that be all right? I said, okay, and I was supposed to meet his pond digger out there, and the guy waited almost a half an hour, and he didn't show up, and then after our township engineer and I left, we didn't know the pond digger showed up, supposedly 4 minutes later. And I said, well, we waited 25 or 30 minutes, you weren't there, so I left, and I went to the campground first and asked where you are, and he said he didn't know anything about you coming out, so what do you want to do? And he never got us again. It's just been sitting there since then. So I don't see any other option but this.
And it sounds like a retention pond, not like a fishing pond. It does.
Well, it depends who you talk to and what it is.
But I mean, there's other ways to handle drainage issues.
It's been a retention pond, it's been a swimming hole, it's been a trout pond, and whatever else I think he wants to put in there. I mean, what it is now is a big muddy hole in the ground with a bunch of dirt piled up around it.
And the actual existing pond wasn't on the other side?
The other pond was a bit farther south and more west.
Yes.
Farther away from Jerry's building. So we will have him out there. We tried to accommodate something that we thought was reasonable he would do, and he said he would, and he never did. So it's exactly the way they made a mess, and it's never been cleaned up since then. I think we owe it to get the eyesore out of there. And so I recommend that we take a vote to approve the township attorney to go forward with the lawsuit against Great Enterprises. That's who owns the KOA.
So this is what Will put together, is this particular thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just reading through it, on page 7 and item 17, he does say about satellite images, earliest one back in 1940 and most recent in 2020, and there was never a pond anywhere near the current pond. And then it also says on page 11 that
earliest photo taken.
the things that they were, page 11 on item 34, Will has on here that among the things that Drake Enterprises was required to do but did not include, for example, schedule a pre-application meeting with the township and its consultants to discuss it, or submit a preliminary site plan to the township, and submit engineering construction plans, or submit a final site plan for review and approval. So none of that was given to us. This seems like, I mean,
Nothing has been given to Danielle or
Right.
I on this, other than a head.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But it looks like, Will has done a fantastic job here of presenting the issues. So I know that you would not recommend that we go to court unless you felt like we could win and we could make a difference. So with that being said, I think, I would support that.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions or comments on that?
Bob, everybody on the board, did I read somewhere in here that they also may be in violation of not renewing a permit for overnight camping?
No, I don't think no, it's a prior non-conforming use, and we've never tried to tell them they could have the campgrounds. Leon had that operating as a campground for
Zone.
years before we ever got involved with it.
It's
There was
appropriate
something
zone.
stated that to have an overnight campground, you have to file site plans.
That requires a site plan change.
Exactly. Yes, that's what
I, not,
that's what I'm saying.
No, I also support the decision to move forward with this lawsuit.
Okay, well, Danielle, can we take a roll call now?
Bob DePalma,
Yes.
Patty Beck,
Yes.
Teresa Bills,
Yes.
Jim Christopher,
Yes.
Gina Musarelli.
Yes.
Okay, I'll call and email Will tomorrow morning. Thank you, everybody. Okay, next item is miscellaneous reports, Holly Area Youth Assistance.
Okay, they put out their annual report. I've heard several off, they'll be on the counter for anybody who'd like to take one. They are putting together, there is a high scholarship of $500, and it doesn't say when or where to apply. So if you're interested, I would call Holly Area Youth Assistance. And the other thing they did was they're putting together a shoe project. They took a few kids, I forget how many they said, and bought shoes for them. It was quite an event, and it went really well, and the kids were very appreciative and loved it. So they are putting that together to have a new thing going on, a shoe.
So it's a project, is it a fundraiser for it?
It's you can just donate money to it. They take the kids shopping and all. And they too will be having a youth recognition, but it doesn't say again any dates on that yet. So I utilized then it tells what their fundraising was, so that's pretty good. But the shoes were a big go over, and that's something they're gonna institute doing. So that's all I have for you.
And Groveland?
BGYA, tomorrow and Wednesday are challenge days at the high school. Very powerful program for youth and volunteer adults in the community. And the youth recognition event is April 27th at the high school. Nominations have been coming in, and there are quite a few students who will be being recognized at that. Again, they update their website, bgya.org, and their Facebook with all of the most recent information. Upcoming, I know it's like springtime, I'm thinking, June 3rd and 4th, the first weekend of June, is the Wojo Greenhouse fundraiser. So 10% of proceeds go to support BGYA. So as you're starting to think about gardening and think about spending money at Wojo's, do it on June 3rd and 4th for BGYA. There's also a shred day, I think it's May 20th at Real Estate One, and any donations you give will be given to the BGYA. And then there's one other thing, and this is Adolescent Addiction Recovery Center that Bob MacArthur, who's our head honcho at BGYA, asked for us to share. And this is a local resource for young people in the community who have addictions and need help with recovery. So if anybody is interested in that, there's a clinic, and if you have questions, there's a former superintendent of Oxford and Lake Oriented Schools who has contact information. You can contact me or BGYA for any information on that. And I think that's it. The next board meeting is the 21st, so more information in April.
Okay, thank you. Planning Commission, Jim?
Yeah, everybody, planning commission met twice in the last month. One was the standard, your typical meeting schedule, where we discussed some mining issues. In minor part, in major part, we discussed the Michigan Renaissance Festival and its inability to make any improvement to their parking situation. After that, we had a special meeting that was essentially a work session among the board, and further discussed a plan of action. In that plan of action, to the best of my ability to recite it, is a letter is going to be written. I don't believe it has gone out yet. No, thanks. And in the letter, we're putting them on notice that there are a number of things that they didn't comply with, despite promises from last year, and that we're going to hold them to the letter of the statute. There may be other things brought up about other omissions that were promised and weren't done. For example, a traffic plan by their engineer in counts of cars and the number of people. In any event, we're taking the attitude that we're done micromanaging them. I think I certainly support this, but I think across the board, we're tired of their cavalier attitude and essentially being lied to. So the board's going to start to play hardball with them. And my subjective opinion to this board is that it meaning the festival, would be incredibly hard pressed to comply within their time period with the letter of the law, so to speak.
So I might mention, if you don't mind, Jim, that the reason for that is they spent basically 6 months to get down to where the final solution we get together and talk about it. That is in fact part of the problem and kind of their modus operandi. Let's just delay it forever, and then there's no time to get anything done or check it. That's what happened last year.
Yeah, and the board has been, I think, in retrospect, I think the board has been too accommodating for a variety of well-intended reasons, and they're done with that now. But Bob's absolutely correct. This is the second year in a row that this group has come to the table a little late. There was cited that I'm going to say the local director was infirmed for a couple of months. And while I'm sympathetic to that and hope the woman recovers, I'm not sympathetic to the fact that this is a company that is really kicking the township in the teeth and has people that can come up to the plate. So again, this is partly subjective and partly, I'm pretty sure the board feels the same way. So we'll see what's going to happen. Next steps is this letter. My, again, subjective opinion is that they won't respond to it in any meaningful manner, and will be faced to not sign off on their permit. And what happens after that, I don't know. Any questions? Okay.
The fun continues.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So have you discussed like consequences to them, monetary consequences if they don't comply with your requests?
Yeah. So there are a few things, a few ways to answer that. One, Teresa, is if we simply say, we'll see you next year, that's a huge monetary. The supposition is they'll proverbially stick up their middle finger and go for it anyhow. Which in some way, I kind of almost hope they do it, because I'm actually quite willing on behalf of the township to fight that battle. And I would hope that Holly would do the same thing. But that would further, at least in my case, as a layperson's attorney, they have total disregard for the township. Another component of that answer is And that answer is twofold, is this, and that is in our position with the festival in terms of the use permit, we are requesting that there will be a cash bond, not a surety bond. I want the money here in the township with an absolute objective standard that when something, whatever that standard is wrong, boom, we get our money. Now, as it relates to that money, we will have to demonstrate, and I assume our township or municipal attorney will help us with that. We have to demonstrate the magnitude of that. We can't say it's $50,000. We have to support what the injury is on that. So yes, there will be. Two other components though. Enforcement is going to be an issue. Having a member of the Oakland County Sheriff's Department be the right-hand person, I don't like that potential conflict if he's put into that position that, okay, we got to close it down and I accept, let's say, the penalty for that. I don't like that at all. The other component that goes with that in terms of enforcement is our fee for them doing business is now going to be increased. It's going to be increased for reasons of we are going to hire people to make the counts so that we as a township have reliable information. There is likely going to be somebody, my expression, I'm not sure it's accurate, touring the parking lot for irregularities that would be in violation. So we are going to hire these people as a consultant or a potential part-time employee. So our cost, their cost of doing business, which they brought on with themselves, is going to increase.
Okay.
Now, in my opinion, from a business standpoint, if any of those people, in any event, it's not just the cost of those people. There's an administrative fee that goes along here, which we have yet to talk about. But I guess it would be analogous when we do something with Oakland County and they monitor, let's say, an approach or some type of pavement project. Usually the county adds 10% for their effort. I would expect the township to do something for its involvement in that too. And then the last component in terms of what it does to us, look at the legal fees we are now faced to absorb. So I'm not pleased with them at all. None of this had to happen if they just showed up, not even with an A game. Just
did what we laid out.
Just really left a bad taste in our mouths. Anything else?
No, thank you.
Okie dokie. Thanks, Jen. Thanks a lot.
Okay. Gina, DZA, anything?
We did have a meeting last month, and the resident was seeking a permission to build a pole barn in front of his residence, and we ended up adjourning the meeting because he needed to gather some more information in order for us to possibly allow that to happen based on hardship or what was going on in his property. And he is coming back tomorrow night with that information.
Is the piece of land sizable?
It's not a very big piece of land, no. Well, it's about 2.5 acres. But it
That's
does.
a building site.
What's that?
That's a building site here.
It is a building site, it is, but it's the shape of the land and also, in my opinion, the back behind the house backs to state land that is very convoluted, just very, hilly's not even the right word. It is like this. But there are still restrictions if you're putting it in front of the house as far as how big it can be and those kind of things. So he had to gather some more information along those lines. Again, it'd be really nice to be able to say yes to somebody. So I'm hoping he has.
Cool.
Okay.
Supervisor's report, the only thing probably worth mentioning besides the already covered KOU campground suit and ongoing problem with the Renaissance Festival is the sewer project was originally supposed to be decided by April 1st. And we had a meeting in Holly, which I was kind of pleased because it was a new state rep that came there. And she made a commitment that she would take a look at seeing if we could get some federal aid money that she thought we had a good shot at for the sewer project, which I said if we don't get it, I don't see how the sewer project can go forward unless we got plenty of money for the capacity increase first, which I didn't see. And she said, yeah, her aide that was at the meeting would take care of it the next day. And, George and I went off and got a hold of Brian Colburn's number and made sure she had it. Next day, we were supposed to have a meeting, and I called Brian and said, did we get a meeting set up yet? He said, no, she hasn't called me back. Do you have her number? I gave him the number. He made several calls, George made several calls, and nobody's ever got back to us since that meeting. So I'm kind of disappointed in that, frankly. I was very surprised that for the kind of jumping into the fire and saying they do it right away, literally nothing's happened now since that meeting, which was days ago. I did email Brian Coburn and said, if you haven't heard anything, and he sent back a message, said I did some checking on the type of grant it was, and I don't think it would work for these reasons. And I said, okay, I'm disappointed you didn't get anyone calling me back. If we can't use it, I'm assuming, are we still on the deadline for April 1st? Because I'm trying to force, frankly, the issue for the county to come back and write it and say, if it's not going to go, then let's just quit fooling around. So I'll let you know what happens on that. I sent that message out this morning, and I did call Mark and George Cullis so you know what was going on. And I have another meeting tomorrow with George and somebody from the village to talk to the People's People's Transport,
People's Express.
People's Express, that's it. Came to us and said they might be willing to see if they can get some of the new money from the RTA transit bill to provide those kinds of services for Rose, Holly, the village of Holly, and Groveland Township, because we don't have our own here. And the individual who asked from People's Express to have the meeting left me a voicemail message this afternoon and said, I got your message, we'll be there tomorrow, but I'm not sure you're going to like what I have to say. So I'm not real optimistic, but I'll let you all know if we can somehow attach some of that $250,000 a year we're now paying to Oakland County for a transit system that we didn't want, don't need, and cost vastly more than it was the $6,000 we were paying for our citizens, because it just wasn't that much need out here. So I'll keep you abreast of what happens on that, and that's tomorrow. Barry is looking at the contract for the new building for some issues that the MSP asked, and if that resolved, I'll bring it back to the board so we know what happens on that. That's pretty much what I have right now. I have an upcoming meeting coming up with the county parks people and economic development people that are working on some marketing promotion for the park. And I told John we wanted to kind of partner with that, as I've said before. He said, sure, you show up at the meeting and I'll tell you come and see if we can get one. So that is that's it for supervisor this month.
And it's pretty quiet so far. I don't know if that's good or bad, but so far, I'm not anticipating or expecting any elections this year. It'll start, I'm certain that next February 24th will be the presidential primary election. I do believe they're gonna move it to February, from March to February, and I believe the August election will be moved from August to June, and I believe the November election will stay the same. Gives more time between elections. It's all kind of up in the air, so nothing's been, fleshed out as to this is how we're doing. So as soon as I know, we'll let you know. Like I said, Janelle's at the Clerking Institute this week. That's a good thing. And that's pretty much all I have. I really don't have it much more.
Okay. Teresa?
Sure. In the treasurer's office, the delinquent tax roll was submitted to Oakland County last week, and we had the lowest number of delinquent taxpayers in recent, well, I guess, in many years here. We only had 83 parcels on it, and the first year that I was here, I think we had like 130, I think, or 125. But anyway, I made a bunch of phone calls and tried to get in touch with people, and a lot of people came in and paid me for the end of February, so really significantly reduce that. Those people who are still delinquent need to get a revised tax statement. They can get that from Angela or myself in the months of March or April. Oakland County doesn't send out delinquent tax letters until June, so if someone's delinquent, they may not know that they're delinquent till they get that letter in June. But there's also a program called the Delinquent Taxpayer Assistance Meetings. Well, it's their foreclosure prevention programs at Oakland County, and they are doing these meetings to try to keep people with from losing their properties and get on a repayment schedule, identifying resources that might be beneficial to them in their situation. So that information can be at the Oakland County Treasurer's Office or oakgov.com/treasurer. And right now we're in the middle of March Board Review. It will be, the last day will be Wednesday of this week. And the only other thing I'm gonna say is that I just finished submitting the grant request for the $5,000 from the PAR plan that we discussed last month. That was gonna help offset the cost of the safety upgrades for the playground. So they should let us know within, well, they said by the end of April if we are gonna receive it, but they did say that the specific things that we were requesting are things that they routinely do fund. So we should be good to go as long as they don't get a ton of them. Yeah, and that's it.
Okay, thank you.
Well, I have a question. Teresa, is the reduction in delinquencies solely a result, do you feel, of your phone calls?
Absolutely,
Wow.
absolutely. Because the first year I was here, I didn't make phone calls, and it didn't occur to me. And we had approximately 130 go delinquent. And then last year I thought about it as I was sitting there, and I was like, wait a minute, these people have turned in, like, a lot of people refinanced last year, and I just put in each parcel number and looked at their history, and if they had no history of, any delinquencies, I really tried to figure out how to contact them. So I went through property transfer affidavits, looking for phone numbers. It was kind of like doing forensics, right? And I made a bunch of phone calls, and I would have to say 99% of them were like, oh my gosh, thank you so much for calling me. I totally lost track of time. I'm so glad you called me. Because ultimately, we're saving them money by not going delinquent, so they don't have to pay.
It's 1% a month, isn't it?
Yes, plus
So it's not
County.
cheap juice, huh?
Right. Right, it does stack up, and then they don't find out about it until May or April, and so it's been March, April, May, and June. So it's been 4 months, they've already accrued fees they didn't even know about. So, like I said, I started making those calls last year, and this year it was just even fewer.
I'm assuming you did that as a neighborly thing.
Absolutely,
It's
a
great.
courtesy
It's
call.
It's a good public service.
Courtesy calls, so, thank you, yeah.
Yeah, it's great. Okay, with that, I'll open it, public comment. Gentlemen, anything?
You have trouble finding people's phone numbers. I found this by being a member of the planning committee for my 50th class reunion.
Oh,
But I subscribed to whitepages.com and I found everybody in the class except one person.
Really?
Yeah. $4.99 a month.
okay. Well, find me a phone number, I'm gonna call you and ask. There you go.
I charge more than that. But and it updates if you search for somebody and you find somebody, they're in your database, I guess. And I got 4 notices of 4 people in my class that changed residence.
Oh.
So when they move, they update it.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Good to
It's
know.
amazing
Thanks,
what things
thanks.
you can find, yeah.
Okay, well, with that, a motion to adjourn.
No,
Oh, I'm sorry.
I came all the way down.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yes, for the record, David Martin, state representative for the new 68th House District.
Thank you for coming.
Oh, I had to come today. I started breakfast with the superintendents for the schools in Grand Blanc, new part of the district.
Oh.
Went and did the 50th anniversary of the Meyer store at Center Road in Burton, new part of the district. Went to my original district, winter school in Davison, and then went to the village of Goodrich on the way down here, and so if I didn't come here, I would not have made a complete circuit.
Well, and I want to thank you because I've seen you 300% more than my previous rep.
And there's 100% more
100% more participation.
My office hours. My office hours at Grand Blanc are very, very good. I just wanted to give a real quick brief update. One thing about the February 24th. If we don't finish business, if the Senate doesn't give sine die for the end of the session, before all that re-election and actually ballots, all that prep stuff, printing and stuff, if it doesn't happen at the end of session and have 90 days for the law to go in effect, it can't happen for February 24th. If it does happen, wish it was a campaign season because I'd have like 4 months off. Because the end of session would be before Labor Day.
Right.
And then where he's going to go back to the session would be for a specific thing the governor needs. We'll see how that works out. It's a strange world. That's why I came down here to it's a strange world. I don't have a lot for local governments other than that there's some revenue sharing, a little bump, but not a lot of information because everything is, they're just jamming through. I mean, they're discharging from committee. They're not having debate on the floor, calling for votes, twisting arms to get all their campaign promises shoved through, and then all the promises they made and the deals they cut for the new Ford battery plant in Marshall, they're cramming those through. So we're getting committees at 9 o'clock and voting at 3 o'clock, and then go back to committee and then voting at 9 o'clock at night. I mean, it's just, to get the information is almost impossible. It's going to be bad legislation because obviously it's written way too fast. There's no deliberation. So it's just a mess right now, in my opinion. It's just not transparent. It's not good for 10 million people. It's good for campaign promises. So we'll just see how it all fills up. But right now, local government-wise, just hasn't been a lot of talk.
I have to say, I like every time you talk, you seem more well-grounded and centered in the way you describe what's going on in the way we've dealt with before. Like I said, I see you 300% more than my previous rep.
Well, let me tell you this. Once I become emperor, it'll be even easier.
Okay, you're out.
He just says it like he sees it.
Yeah, thank you, David. I do appreciate it. Okay, with that, if there's no other questions, I move that we adjourn and we convene to the third board.
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay. You're doing it for chief?
I am.
Okay. It's your meeting.
All right.
We're all here. Thank you.
So-
Okay.
Thank you for coming.
Actually, I'll see you on the 20th.
Huh?
I'll see you on the 20th.
Yeah, thank
Who
you.
seconded that adjournment?
I did.
Thank you.
So we had 81 calls for February this year. Last year we had 65, the year before we had 79, and in 2020 we had 75. So our calls are increasing. The total as of February 28th was 151 calls for the year so far. Last year was 142, in 2021 was 187. We would like to hire James Kruger as an unpaid paid on-call personnel. He lives here in the township. He's pretty excited and
Chief talked to me about it today.
really wants to. He was. He was here a couple meetings ago. Really excited, really go getter. He's really looking for it. So we would like to be okay to go ahead and hire him.
Motion?
I'll motion to hire James Kruger once his background check comes back and all his papers and personnel files are all filled out. His I-9, etc.
Second,
As paid on call firefighter.
I'll second that.
any questions or comments from the board?
You know that there's some sort of program now, I've seen it in the Township Insights, right? That say you can get reimbursement for training.
For training, yeah.
So I'm not sure if you're aware of that or if Chief is aware of that, but
I
if
think
you're,
I sent it to Chief last week.
if you wanna learn more about it, like just stop and see me. It's in this.
It's in the latest the monthly.
Yeah. So
I know the state of Michigan just did one for paramedics specifically, like $20,000 to pay for your medic class, or the max of $16,000, pay $15 an hour to go to medic class. Because a lot of people can't afford to take the time off work and go to school.
Okay.
or single parents or whatnot, and I know that
So-
goes March 1st.
It might be for medics and paramedics and stuff, but I thought it said first responders,
It
but,
did say,
and I would consider firefighter first responder, right? So maybe I'll try to look at that and see if I can find out some more.
I'll try to get with you later this week.
Okay.
You might check with chief, because I'm almost positive I sent that.
Okay. We'll look into it.
And then on engine 4, we rebuilt the valve, discharge 3 and 4 in the tank pump. We're waiting on some drain hoses to put that truck back on service. And
Which is a big job, because you saved a lot of money. The parts were a few $100, but I'm sure it would have been several thousand to take those valves out and change them. It's not an easy job.
And then we also rebuilt the leaking tank pump valve on E1. E1's packing is leaking really bad. I think Chief brought it up in previous months, but we would like to be okay to go ahead and get that fixed.
I think he's had
$5,000.
I think he's had a couple bids in the $5,000 range, but he
Right.
thought hopefully would make it for $7,000, just in case if something else comes up in the process of fixing it, so up to.
Up to 7,000.
So is this out of the fire department's budget?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we need a
right,
motion
and
to,
I will make a motion that we allocate up to $7,000 out of the fire budget for E1's repairs.
is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any questions or comments from the board?
I'm assuming that would just come out of the capital outlay reserve?
No,
Where would
it
that?
should come out of,
Is there a-
repairs and
Is there a?
maintenance and repairs.
Is there enough in that to cover it?
Right now, I don't know, I have to.
Well, the budget's
We
just
sold the
started,
stack
so
of
I'll get-
paperwork that had that information.
Yeah, by the time they have it done, it should.
Oh, because it'll be the new fiscal year.
Yeah,
Gotcha. Okay.
so really it should come out of, repairs and maintenance, vehicles or trucks, whatever.
Okay. For the new budget year.
It will take some time to get it in. We've got three bids on it, and they're all about the same price.
Okay.
And then we've
Wait,
upgraded.
wait. Motion was made,
Yes,
We have to-
and supported.
supported, now we gotta take a roll call vote on it.
I thought you already did.
Don't run to the withdrawal window yet.
Bob DePalma.
Yes.
Patty Back.
Yes.
Teresa Bills.
Yes.
Jim Christopher.
Yes.
Gina Mozzarella.
Yes.
Not.
Do we need a roll call for the new hire?
Jim,
Yes.
I don't think we did that.
We didn't roll call that one.
Okay,
And let's do
Sorry.
that.
who made the motion?
I motion hire.
And did you second it or Gina?
Gina.
Gina did, okay. Okay, take a roll
Patty
call vote on the
motion,
hire.
who's really second? Roll call vote.
Thought we did.
Patty Back.
Yes.
Teresa Bills.
Yes.
Jim Christopher.
Yes.
Gina Mozzarella.
Yes.
Bob DePalma.
Yes. Okay,
Um,
Stacy.
We've upgraded all the stuff in the computer system, not the computer itself, for the training room at Station 1. It's very aged and difficult to hook up a newer laptop and stuff, so we gotta do some upgrades.
They said it was peanuts, like $150 or something.
We don't wanna go through and redo the whole thing if we're getting stationed.
Yeah.
This will suffice and hold us over it, and it's working pretty well.
Okay.
Other than that, I did bring our new truck is here. Some of you have seen it.
Did a great job on it.
Yes, they did. It looks really sharp.
8,000, I think you said, when it's all done.
I didn't get the final price on it. It'll be a couple weeks yet before it's in service. We gotta tweak it a little bit, and then we gotta stock it and get some base inspections done on it. So it'll be officially in service hopefully in, I would say, the next couple of weeks. But it looks sharp. It's out in the parking lot if anybody wants to look at it.
You did a very nice job.
And that's all I got.
Okay, that's it?
Sure.
Any questions from the audience? Thank you, Dave.
I put in my $4.99.
Yeah, he's afraid he'll get another job.
Okay, is that a motion to adjourn would be in order?
I'll second it.
Okay, I guess I made it and Jim seconded it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everybody. It's actually one
Teresa,
person.
that was very
Cool, you did.
Yeah, we should do it, so it's totally cool.
I'm gonna go ahead when it comes to that stuff, if I do it on my plan.
You know, so much stuff going on now. It's not
Danielle, are we still recording or is the recording done?
Probably still recording because I haven't leaned all the way over here to press it.
Oh, hey,
Tell me when recording's off.
my neighbor expressed that, came over, his wife came over last beer on our, he was interested in